following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
From Wherever We Decide Studios, broadcasted live on iTunes, Spreaker, and worldwide, this is the Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast with your host, the producer, Pat G. The G stands for Gangsta. And now kick back and get ready for the eargasms.
Welcome to another edition of the TTRP Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast, brought to you by Gear Network and, of course, ShopGear.com. You can listen to us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, and, as my co-hosts say, anywhere you can get your fine-ass podcasts.
Fine-ass podcast.
Yes, that voice right there is my co-host, Sergeant Fury. Once again, episode 75 of the TTRP. We've reached another milestone.
75, we're only 25 episodes away from number 100. You never know what can happen. I mean, the wrestling world just keeps getting more and more insane. I mean, Pat G, we might have to start doubling down on some of these, dude. Like, it's hard to keep up with wrestling news.
Oh, there's wrestling news every day of the week, and this is the thing, like, starting off is in October. Now, with more recent developments, that NXT UK is going to start is being shown on Thursdays as of next week. There's legitimately going to be wrestling 6 out of 7 days, 6 out of 7 nights a week, starting October 1st.
Absolutely, regularly, not including the fact that, you have AEW, which does Saturday pay-per-views. So once a month, you're going to have 7 days a week, not including when New Japan decides to run shows on Saturdays, their pay-per-views on New Japan World. There are going to be times where you have your option of wrestling 7 days a week. Let's rewind that. 7 days a week.
Yes, you're going to have, of course, Monday Night Raw, Monday nights. Tuesdays is going to be Impact on Access. Wednesdays, you're going to have NXT and AEW. Thursdays, you're going to have NXT UK. Granted, NXT UK show, is earlier because of the time difference, but you can watch it on demand and whatnot. Friday, it's SmackDown with and depending on your service provider, you have Access and Fox, where you can get ROH and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And then, of course, AEW puts their events on Saturday, WWE does their events on Sunday. That's a lot of wrestling.
That's a cornucopia of professional wrestling entertainment. And, here's the best part about this. So, rumor has it, innuendo and everything, that apparently Raw and SmackDown sets are not only getting revamped, but we're getting pyro back.
Yes.
So, for the first time in a long time, WWE has got the budget to say, we're going to light shit on fire again. So you're going to have the grand entrances for superstars that is like, holy shit, this is going to be awesome. And then, of course, AEW is going to be, starting up. Oh my God, I can't believe it's less than a week away. The AEW is going to be on the television on TNT. First time in almost 20 years that professional wrestling is going to be on TNT live for 2 hours. And as you mentioned, the deal with Access and Impact. If this isn't the story of the little company that could, my God, what is this company that people keep thinking is down and out? Don Callis, it pulled a miracle out, and here you go. You have Access coming in and being like, yeah, we see that professional wrestling is becoming not only one of the trendiest things to watch again, but it's also becoming extremely lucrative. And let's talk about New Japan, who right around the corner, this is around the time of year, a couple years ago, where you had Jericho making the jump to wrestle Kenny Omega at Wrestle Kingdom. Yep. The hype started in October. I mean, you have Jon Moxley, who flat out has said, yeah, he wants to work Wrestle Kingdom. He wants to be able to say, yes, I did that. So you have Jay White, who is in the last 2 years exploded as a star. Of course, you can count on Suzuki versus Liger, this feud that's going on before Liger calls it a day. I mean, for God's sakes, you have all of this, potential storyline gold. And one of the coolest things is like you said, you have NXT UK, Walter making an appearance on NXT last week, basically throwing down the gauntlet. Like, when you mention NXT, you better be saying all of NXT, which brings the NXT UK, NXT China, and, NXT Australia when that eventually starts up. All of this professional wrestling is starting to come to this grand crescendo. And people like to reminisce about the Great Monday Night War. That was 2 companies. Well, 3 if you include ECW. So 3 companies providing you content on a regular basis, but it was pretty much 3 nights a week, and whenever you got the run on TNN for ECW.
Yeah, and also looking back at the Monday Night Raws, the Monday Night Wars, you also didn't have the instant news feed that you do today.
Oh God, no!
Social media wasn't a thing. Like, if you wanted to know things, you had to get magazines, you had to get newspapers, you had to call the 1-900 lines and run up your parents' phone bill.
And not just that, but to add on to that, we're at the age where it's like during the Monday Night War, when you went to school the next day, people were talking about what happened.
Oh, yeah.
If the show was in your area, you were running into half of your class at Monday Night Raw. You know what I mean? Or Nitro, or WCW event, or WWF live event, or an ECW event in Troy, or Schenectady. It's like, dude, you had so many opportunities to see 3 companies. Now you have so many opportunities to see so many more, especially with the tier. And we're forgetting, we don't know when the launch of the tiered system is going to be.
Yeah.
So that is an even larger overload. I mean, I think they've already announced another Evolve show is going to be on the network soon, like a super show. This is an immense amount of wrestling and an amazing time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing, is you have instant access to your news and opinions and breaking stories and everything because you have wrestling journalists, so to speak, like Fightful.com and Wrestling Observer and WhatCulture.com and so on and so forth. And then you have the people that are kind of just doing it on their own that work along with some of these companies. And then on top of that, you have all the interactions with the WWE stars, AEW stars, all these wrestlers through social media, through Instagram, through Twitter, through Facebook, and everything, where you comment on pictures and have conversations and
don't forget TMZ getting footage of wrestlers fighting at steakhouses.
Yeah, yeah.
Or now that the Wednesday Night War, if you want to even call it that, is gearing up, you have wrestlers on radio shows contradicting stuff that wrestlers say on Twitter and in their own interviews. So you have these wrestlers going at it in public again. Like, I remember when Bill Goldberg challenged Stone Cold Steve Austin on the Howard Stern show. I think he was like, he put up like $100,000 for a wrestling match of his own money.
Yeah, I remember that.
Howard Stern was like one of the very few people where you'd see that kind of thing happening, where wrestlers were on the radio with like a major personality doing interviews. Now now it's all over ESPN. I mean, Triple H is a regular there pretty much now, like showing up talking. Of course, Ryan and Kelly and the Today Show have wrestlers on frequently now. Whatever champion is crowned at a major event, this is big news, and it's going to continue. And you're going to see all of these stars that are around the world that maybe your average Joe Schmo doesn't know about is going to be on a worldwide basis. People are going to be talking about Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus soon.
Oh, absolutely. If they haven't already.
Exactly. And this is the kind of thing that we're going to see. Jericho's at the New York Comic-Con. I believe it's this weekend. I mean, there is another second only to the San Diego Comic-Con. That's huge that the AEW champion is going to be there hyping AEW right before its, inaugural show, where he and two mystery partners are going to go against Kenny Omega and the Bucks. So it's like you have the Elite versus Jericho and two partners. This is all hype right now, and it's so exciting.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the thing is, if you look at all this wrestling, it's just such an overload. And there are so many podcasts out there that will talk about the older stuff, like the now Infinity Gauntlet, so to speak, of podcasts with Conrad Thompson, based on the meme that was shown out the other day when the Arn show debuted. Yeah,
it's you can call him the godfather of wrestling podcast now, even though he straight up says, "Oh well, you had Cole Cabana and Stone Cold doing it first." It's like, yeah, but this is a fan talking to coordinating all this. Man, when you get Undertaker and Conrad Thompson on a podcast together, done.
Yeah, like, and this is the thing. Not to sidetrack a little bit. Conrad Thompson is married to one of Ric Flair's daughters. He does a podcast 5 days in a row with Eric Bischoff, Arn Anderson, Tony Schiavone, Bruce Prichard, and JR. 5 days a week. And he's a wrestling fan, but the amount of time and effort and research he puts in to those podcasts to bring up questions and everything, because you got to remember, all 5 of those guys have 20 to 30 plus years in the wrestling business. They may not always remember every aspect.
No. That goes with the whole thing about wrestling podcasts is it's like, looking at it from Conrad Thompson's perspective, and this now goes into us, as weird as that sounds, like Conrad, you can tell is a fan, and we as fans are like to reminisce about the days, the raging 80s and the Attitude Era and whatnot. We're living in a pretty damn good era now, so, take the time to sit back and understand we're witnessing history. This was something that maybe wrestling fans never thought would happen. Like, we never thought anyone would try and go at WWE again. We assumed that after TNA, no one was really gonna do it. And shit, TNA is still taking shots at WWE. They're still around essentially through Impact on Access now.
Yep.
The insanity of being a fan now, like, my kid, when he decides to finally start watching wrestling, who knows if the first wrestler he sees isn't a WWE branded guy. Like, he knows Finn Balor, he knows Shinsuke Nakamura, he obviously knows CM Punk and John Cena.
Yeah.
But he might be watching one day and be like, well, who's that dude? And I might look up to him and be like, oh, that's Okada. Oh, I like him. He makes money rain from the sky.
Yep.
It's like, shit, if that's what you're impressed with, wait 45 minutes when he's still wrestling and still going strong. You know what I mean? Like, this is the world we live in, where he might be watching it one day and be like, who's that? Sami Callihan? I think he looks cool. You know, we never know. In this day and age, it's not like it was where you had 3 companies going at it, or 2 major companies at some points. So we'll just have to just buckle up, because God, October is going to be one hell of a month.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the thing, is the month of October, you're going to see a lot of people have a lot of opinions and everything.
Uh-huh.
And this is the thing. WWE has seized the landscape. Hence why I think they've gone the direction that they're going. They're like, you know what? We're going to end the wild card rule. We're going to do another draft. And each brand is going to be specific to their brand. Like, you're not going to, like, if Roman Reigns gets drafted to SmackDown, Roman Reigns is on SmackDown. You're going to have to wait till Friday to see him.
And the thing is, you know, to piggyback off of that with 2 points. Point number 1, all of Fox's advertising has featured Roman Reigns. I don't want to say it's almost a guarantee that we're not going to see Roman on Raw. You know, we might see him interact at pay-per-views, because I think Fox did want specific stars that they could parade around.
Yes.
Good. They've got a deep enough fucking roster. Go for it. The other thing is that, you know, WWE is putting their proverbial dick on the table when Brock fucking Lesnar is going to wrestle on a televised match on cable television for the first time since what?
I think it's been 14 years. I think they said like 14 or 15 years.
2004, I believe.
Yeah.
Probably the last time. And there was a meme circulating recently where it was the last time Brock Lesnar wrestled on television, on TV. Velveteen Dream was 9 years old.
Yep.
Nicholas was not even born yet. Seth Rollins was in high school. Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero were both still alive.
Yep.
So let that figure into all of this, that is how long it has been since Brock Lesnar has stepped on television to wrestle in a match. So, you know, whatever they've got planned for that night, for the first night on Fox, is gonna be huge.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the thing, is the minute they announce the thing where they're like, Brock put the challenge out to Kofi and Kofi accepted, like, a lot of people are like, oh great, Brock Lesnar is going to have the title again. You know what? They may pull a god freaking damn curveball out of their ass, and Kofi upsets Lesnar.
You know, and that's one of the things, is that in this new way of thinking, you would imagine that Brock Lesnar would do that. But then again, I hate to say that, that seems to be the norm. And this is a huge opportunity for someone like Kofi Kingston, who is the flag bearer of that brand, where, you know, Kofi Mania this entire year has been geared. Everyone's like, oh, well, he's going to lose. It's like, nah, all he has to do, much like Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, all he has to do is go out there and steal the show, which Kofi Kingston can do on any given night. And he's proved that since February of this year.
Oh, yeah.
You give Kofi the ball, and he's going to run with that damn thing. And he has knocked it out of the park time after time after time.
Absolutely. And this is the thing, is when they made that match, Lesnar versus Kofi, I was like, you know what? Fox loves the fact that Brock's going to be on their network, guaranteed. But I can guarantee you, Fox is going, well, we need the championship here, because that way it can be defended on our shows.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you, while WWE is going, hey, we're putting everything out, because there's been numerous reports saying that Michael Cole is getting put on to SmackDown. The Michael Cole's getting switched to SmackDown. The Raw announced team's going to be the announced team from 205 Live. Vic Joseph and Dion Madden or whatever.
Yeah.
And okay, cool. WWE is if they're gonna move Michael Cole, WWE's like, all right, cool. You know what? We're gonna make SmackDown the flag. And that's the thing. The draft, the first night of the draft's not on Monday Night Raw. It's on SmackDown.
Oh, exactly. And Fox does not want the B show. Fox doesn't want the B show. They didn't pay, fucking $4 billion for a B show? Fox ain't gonna hand Vince McMahon $4 billion to have subpar programming on Friday night at 8 o'clock. Fox ain't that fucking stupid. Fox could put any show they want on their network at that time. They gave $4 billion to Vince McMahon to come up with something really good. And obviously they came up with something good because if you look at what SmackDown has done, and this is all leading into October, you look what SmackDown has done. Okay, somehow, some way, I don't know how it happened, they made Eric Rowan someone I wanted to actually watch. The fourth guy in the Wyatt family behind, of course, Bray and Luke Harper and Braun Strowman is suddenly having a feud with the biggest babyface in their company on that brand, okay? Well, the second biggest, Kofi Kingston, obviously the biggest. Okay, speaking of the biggest, you're bringing one of the biggest attractions in UFC and WWE history onto your show for your very first thing. 15 years, man hasn't wrestled on network television, and that's what you're doing. First night out, title defense, Kofi Kingston, Kofi Mania. You can't tell me they don't see money in Kofi Kingston. I mean, New Day still friggin' sells like insane amounts of merchandise, and so does Kofi Kingston. Plus, you have a budding women's division, a tag team division that is off the charts on SmackDown, and Bischoff is doing great storytelling. Flat out. Bischoff is helping to tell some really good stories over there, and I'm quite entertained. And it is becoming a separate product leading up to the Fox run than Raw is. Like, you watch the two shows, they feel different again. Oh, and I'm forgetting Kevin Owens. Okay, Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon is just friggin' the goose that laid the golden egg. Money, money, money. But Raw is completely different in that Raw is, you've got Seth Rollins for now is your champion, and they are ending all of the shows this week essentially with a nightmare. And it is working because they're putting over that Bray Wyatt character.
Yeah.
And all of this is the kind of programming that they are giving you to lead you into this October. And you have what they did with NXT, where now you have the entire Undisputed Era is holding all of the gold. Matt Riddle is becoming not only the king of bros, but he could become the king of NXT. And we now have a budding roster in AEW that is looking freaking phenomenal leading into their first ever event. And the tag team bracket that was released for that, is an insane amount of tag team, gold, whether they're independent wrestlers or and seen on the independents or not, they're still friggin' amazing. And New Japan is still going with, being Liger's last run. And this is becoming an amazing story with Suzuki. And then you've got friggin' Jay White, and you've got Juice Robinson, and all of this talent. And this is just a couple companies that I can list in this diatribe that I just gave in the last 3.5 minutes.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is with Liger, this is only like the fourth time that Liger has gone to that Kishin Liger gimmick. Mm-hmm. And then on top of it, over the last month and even before, with Monday Night Raw, with the King of the Ring tournament, you have seen Baron Corbin put it into another gear. Like, that man, literally was the MVP of that tournament. He was having hell of a matches with different styles, different people, and cutting amazing promos.
Who would have thought that 2 years ago? I sure as shit wouldn't.
Oh, not at all.
It's plausible we could have, Universal Champion Baron Corbin next year.
It's very plausible. Like, I honestly, if he keeps going on the run that he's going, like, I honestly see him challenging for the Universal title within the next 6 months.
All depending on who's holding the title after Hell in a Cell, and that's the other thing. They're giving fans what they want. Fans, as soon as Bray Wyatt showed up with this Fiend gimmick, fans wanted to see that character elevated.
Yep.
And WWE wasted no time. It was almost like Paul Heyman looked up and was like, do you hear that? Do you smell that? That is money. That is your next champion. And he doesn't have to do shit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And speaking of the Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, Paul Heyman's a huge fan, but there's been the report where a Fox executive was like kind of on record saying Fox wanted Bray Wyatt. They wanted the Bray Wyatt Fiend character for SmackDown. I don't know if they're gonna get it, but
a draft can, the draft is still possible.
Yeah.
I mean, what happens if he gets drafted before Hell in a Cell? What if he brings the Universal Championship to SmackDown, to SmackDown, and Brock Lesnar wins the WWE Championship
and takes it back to Raw?
Going to Raw. Exactly. Titles can be moved. We know that in professional.
Oh yeah. We've seen it before.
Yeah, one of the first nights of the first night of the draft lottery in 2005, we had, newly crowned champion Dave Bautista and WWE champion John Cena on the same show.
Flip shows.
Yeah. I mean, for a month we had them on the same damn program until the script got flipped and Dave went over to SmackDown.
Yeah, and then even going back when Lesnar when Lesnar had the Undisputed Championship, he's like, nope, I'm staying on SmackDown. I like it here because this is where Paul Heyman is, and they ended up bringing back the big gold belt for Triple H on Raw. When it was Bischoff and Heyman as the general managers.
Yeah, and I mean, isn't it ironic that 2002 saw that as a storyline, and now 17 years later, that's actually reality backstage, and you're getting a great vibe from both shows. I have not been bored with SmackDown or Raw at all. Like, I am deeply engrossed in the fact that they're not only doing that. Let's talk about Chad Gable. Shit, Chad Gable.
Yeah.
That everyone's like, man, are they going to give him a chance? Man, are they going to give him a chance? He loses the tournament and is becoming a huge star because that's what Paul Heyman does best.
And Paul Heyman knows how to utilize the wrestler characters. Like the guys that can actually go in the ring and work a 15-20 minute match and grapple and all that. He knows how to use them.
And you put him against the right person in Baron Corbin. I mean, this is just money. They're building their stars for the next 10 to 15 years on all of their programming. And the best part is that because now wrestling is a hot commodity, all of these wrestlers on all these shows can now, if they want to go free agent and see if the grass is greener in another company, they totally can. Moxley did it. Moxley was one of the biggest stories of the year. Him saying, goodbye, I'm leaving, and then going to AEW. And he has been all over the advertising for all of the shows for the weekly programming on AEW. He's on the video. Clear as day, you see Mox.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep. And that's the thing, with Moxley. He's even come out in interviews. He says, yeah, I'm not gonna bash my time in the WWE. They allowed me to buy my house. It's where I met my wife. Like, all this stuff, he's not gonna bash. But he's like, at the end of the day, I felt like I was just a cog in the wheel, and I was getting away from why I love this business. So I did the right thing. I waited. I worked till the end of my contract, left, and I went to find myself again.
And find himself he did, because you look at him, and I mean, when he came out at the end of Double or Nothing, first off, he looked amazing. And then secondly, dude went over to Japan, won the United States Championship in a great match with Juice, and then went to the G1 tournament. And dude, if you would have told me one of the highlights of G1 would have been Jon Moxley, I would have looked at you and been like, I see it, but I need to see it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
His level of talent, but I need to kind of see it for myself. And he went over there and he tore it up. Didn't win it, but he tore it up nonetheless, which makes me froth at the mouth to think at him and Kenny Omega going at it in a first ever pay-per-view match. Like, I'm at the edge of my seat. I would have loved to have seen it at All Out, but obviously the MRSA happened, so we didn't get to see it. So it's coming up on their next pay-per-view, I believe.
Yeah, it's the pay-per-view in November.
We're going to see it regardless, and it's going to be amazeballs.
Oh, absolutely. Not to mention with AEW's, you have that debut episode, which is coming in 9 days. That's the thing. It's the thing of, you're going to have Cody Rhodes facing Sammy Guevara, and Cody's already said, hey, yeah, I'm undefeated right now, but if Guevara upsets me, he's the one that could be getting the title shot.
And that's the best part about this is it's like the way that they're structuring this is when they were talking about it earlier this year, where they're like, wins and losses are going to matter.
Yep.
You kind of sit there and you're like, how's it going to matter? Well, if your number one contender just got beat by this dude, is he really your number one contender? And I'm doing that weird, long face, that's a valid point. In boxing, if you beat the shit out of someone who is supposed to have a title shot next, it's like the kind of, hey, you're next. Here you go have fun. Go try and win a championship. And the one thing that I can say is that they've utilized, YouTube and social media so well, and it reminds me in a way only, of when Nitro was gearing up to debut. It's like they had Saturday night, 6:05 Eastern.
Yep.
Yes, that was it. And they were able to hype Nitro for that. They have used the internet and, viral videos and being the elite to really get everyone to understand these characters, and understanding through Instagram, the Dark Order, and all of the Orange Cassidy. And it's pretty funny because I being a veteran, follow a Facebook page called Awesome Shit My Drill Sergeant Said, and they had the dive that Orange Cassidy did with his hands in his pocket, because a big thing in the Army is you don't put your hands in your pocket ever. And they showed him with doing the dive over the top rope, landing on the group of people, and just standing up and walking and just being leisurely. And I'm like, if a website for dark military humor is picking up on this guy,
yep,
that is eyes that may not be watching that product being like, who's the dickhead in the denim with the glasses? Who is he? And then they're going to be like, well, what show is this? AEW? I've never seen this AEW. Oh, AEW? They have Chris Jericho. They have Cody. They have Moxley. They have Kenny Omega. Oh, well, let me check these guys out. Oh, well, when are they going to be on? Oh, cool. I'm going to watch this on TNT. Boom, new fans made.
Basically, that's the thing. But we're going to take a brief break here, get out some sponsors, houseofhoodies.com, and much more. But we're going to see you back on the flip side, and we're going to talk the lovely thing of Kayfabe versus pulling back the curtain, and that whole lovely world of pro wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Pat G from the Turnbuckle Talk Radio podcast. And no, we're not talking pro wrestling today, but we are talking sports hoodies, NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, soccer, and much more. And this is brought to you by houseofhoodies.com, a new sponsor here at the TTRP. You can visit thehouseofhoodies.com and pick up your favorite team's merchandise. They have current players, former players, or you can customize your own hoodie, whether it be the NBA, NHL, MLB, and the NFL. After you're done shopping, use the promo code TTR Podcast and you will get 15% off your order. That's TTR Podcast for 15% off at thehouseofhoodies.com. Back here on the TTRP, I kind of clapped like Xavier was an up, up, down, down right there, but oh well. I am Patchy. That is Sergeant Fury, of course. We're talking wrestling, and we just got done discussing the upcoming month of October and all the wrestling that you're going to be able to watch on cable television.
Your brain is not going to be able to stand all of this amazingness in October. You might have to tweet about it.
Tweet, Facebook. You might have to even DVR some stuff. So, but
I hope you people didn't enjoy sleep, because you're not going to get any for a long fucking time.
Ain't that the truth? The upcoming here in the rest of the show, we're going to talk about pulling back the curtain versus kayfabe. And the thing is kayfabe is that lovely term that was made many, many years ago, back in like the territory days, where you basically, as far as pro wrestling was the secret organization. Fans didn't know shit. Like, plain and simple. Like, heels and faces didn't, like, live together. They didn't travel together unless they were caught at times by cops. Stuff like that. And this basically is done because of the current situation where it was done on video, whether it was staged or not, of Lacey Evans getting pulled over in Canada. And Lacey Evans basically staying in character. A lot of people were like, oh, well, why is she doing that? Why is she being mean? And this is the thing, it's one of the things that, you know what, back in the territory days and from listening to other wrestling podcasts and people that have, like, worked during them days, that was the norm. The person you saw on TV was the person that they were in real life.
One of my favorite kayfabe stories of all time has to involve the Iron Sheik and Freebird, Michael P.S. Hayes, and Jimmy Garvin and Michael Hayes' wife getting pulled over at a stop in, I believe it was Georgia. And he said this on a WWE production, that they had weed on them. A lot of weed. Because Sheik didn't like his weed. And the Iron Sheik, while getting pulled over, stayed in character.
Yep.
I want you guys to think about the Iron Sheik cutting a promo on a cop that had pulled them over at a traffic stop. Fucking gold. And imagine being that fucking cop who walks away and is like, I just got yelled at by the Iron Sheik. That's amazing. That's some of the greatest shit. I got to tell Bill on the radio. Fuck. That's amazing. Good for Lacey Evans. Good for her for staying in character and being a complete and utter freaking asshole to that guy. Fucking marvelous job, Lacey Evans. Thank you.
And the thing is what's funny is Bully Ray was talking about it on Busted Open Radio. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how he's not a fan of, like, pulling the curtain back. and whatnot. And back in the days, wrestlers stayed in character. So he's like, and he made the statement of, I love Lacey Evans more for doing this, but in reality, it makes me hate her even more for doing it.
Is it because she's doing it? Is it because she's acting like her character out in public? Like, boy, Ric Flair used to do it at bars.
No, he meant it. He loved it. He loved it. It's like he's like, as a wrestling fan, it's going to make me hate Lacey Evans even more. But as the person that's been in the business, I love her for it because it's what you should do. And he's like, it's what you should do. You should stay in character. Like, people should stay in character and whatnot. Like, it was done in the old times. And on top of this, like, of course, like I mentioned, Arn Anderson's podcast dropped the other day, or whatever. And he talked about the territory days, and he was working in Georgia Championship Wrestling, and he would do the run or whatever with Bill Watts and whatnot, and he'd be making like $600. In today's money, that $600 that Arn Anderson was making in 1982 equals to $1,600 today. So it's the thing of, wrestling isn't really pulling the curtain back, so to speak. It's the technology and the advancement of internet and TV and radio and media that I think has led to it.
I think we have to look at, this is just me saying this. There was a time when I'm gonna say 1998. So we're gonna go with 98 because this is when I remember it. Okay, so WWE at that point, when they released a superstar video, the wrestler maintained character while talking about highlights of their career and all this other shit. WCW released 2 VHS tapes. Oh my god, I said VHS. Holy fucking old. And one of those VHS tapes was Sting and his career up to Super Brawl when he beat Hogan again, in 1998. And it was not Sting talking about his career and highlights. It was Steve Borden, and he called himself Steve Borden, and he wasn't wearing paint, and it looked like he was just sitting in a room, talking to the camera about, wrestling, when he first broke in and all this stuff, and then injuries that he had, and I'm kind of sitting there and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, what I thought this was Sting, and it was called Behind the Paint, which is kind of funny. And I'm like, what the fuck is this thing? Like, Jesus Christ. And it's like, that's when I got introduced to the idea and the concept that, maybe these wrestlers have an interesting story leading into it, and by pulling back that curtain, they're just letting you in a little bit. And then, lo and behold, in 2002, WWE really pulled back the curtain with the production of their DVDs, like the Undertaker's DVD.
Yeah.
It's My Yard, or This Is My Yard, where like they had Paul Heyman talking about the first time he met him, and he was one of the new skyscrapers. And then Hulk Hogan's DVD, where Hulk Hogan talks about my brother died and all this, and it's like, holy shit, like they really pulled the curtain back more. So when people talk about kayfabe being dead, or the business changing, it's like it was changed purposefully so you understood these people and the struggles they went through to become who they are today. And it was also around that time that the characters became more who they are anyway.
Yeah.
Like Stone Cold talking about getting fired from WCW. You could feel his anger with getting fired, and you could be like, man, I understand that. That fucking sucks. So it was giving you the real person within the context of still being in character. You know what I mean? Like, they also did it, WWF did it with the Mankind interview with Jim Ross, where they really went behind the curtain and showed him as a teenager and the emergence of the Dude Love video. And then obviously talking about his deathmatch stuff. He was talking about Mick Foley's life through the character of Mankind, but it was still breaking kayfabe, talking about his childhood. So in a weird way, it's been done before, but with social media, it's just evolved into this whole different beast. You know, like, if two wrestlers were married, you wouldn't know about it. Now they do, like, Vince McMahon congratulates people on their weddings.
Yep.
On Twitter.
Yep. Or engagements.
Or engagements, for the fact that, you know, you had, in 1 week, The Rock got married, Finn Balor got married, and the man got engaged to her boyfriend.
Yep. And then a couple of weeks later, you have the announcement from Miz about his second daughter.
Yep. And it's like, there's reality TV, like, yes, some of that stuff seems scripted as all fuck, but then some of it seems like legitimately real.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It's one of them things of, back, like, hearing, like, your Arn Andersons and your Ric Flairs and your JRs, guys that were, like, lived in the territory days, and hearing and how, like, you came up in the business and stuff like that. Yeah, it's cool. But it also shows you how wrestling has evolved over the last 10, 20, 30 years.
Vern Gagne would fire you if he found out that, you know, Vern Gagne would book hotels for heels and book faces at a hotel the opposite side of town. If you got seen riding with someone who is a heel or a babyface, and he found out, he'd fire you.
Yeah. What was funny is on the Arn Anderson podcast, he was talking about that when he was working with Bill Watts. Arn Anderson was living with Ted DiBiase and Tim Horner, and Arn Anderson was, of course, he was a heel, Horner was a face or whatever, and they kept it secret because had Bill Watts or anyone else found out about it, they both would have been fired. And nowadays, it's like we talked about, like, everybody's like posting thank you messages for engagements and birth and all that. And then on top of it, you have the people that know certain aspects. Like, everybody knows Mike and Maria Kanellis are married, obviously. They have a daughter together. They're gonna have another daughter or another son. But it's like the storyline on Raw, people are going, hey, this is funny, but we all know who the father is. And it's like,
Maury into it.
Huh?
They're getting Maury involved in it.
Yeah, I saw that. But I respond. There was a feed on Twitter, like, somebody had commented, like, oh, this Mike and Maria stuff is dumb. We know they're married. We know they're having kids together. We know Mike is the father. Why are they doing this? And I'm going, it's entertainment. Suspend your disbelief of the fact that for a night.
And a year ago, you were bitching that he wasn't on TV.
Yep.
Now he's on a great storyline. We all know that Mark Henry didn't put the dick to Mae Young and that she really didn't give birth to a hand. But I'll be goddamned if that hand thing isn't still talked about to this day.
Hell, the freaking one before Mae Young passed, of course. Rest in peace, Mia. On one of the anniversary Raws, they had a man dressed. The hand was grown up.
Yes, I remember. I'm trying to ignore the fact that I remember that. But yes, hi. Remember me? I'm Hand. Okay, do you think that... Okay, one of the... Team Hell No.
Yep.
Do you think they really went to anger management?
Oh, Jesus.
The fuck out of here.
Or any of like backstage skits or anything. Like, it's just it's one of the things of I've had so many conversations with people that are wrestling fans that are I'm like, yes, they're like, oh, you're a wrestling fan? I'm like, yeah. Well, do you know this, this, and this? I'm like, yeah, I know this and this, but at the end of the day, suspend your disbelief. Like,
I know. Yes, and here's a great point, and I'm going to piggyback off of that. Okay, I know. Okay, that there is not a zombie apocalypse going on outside right now.
Yep.
I know that there is not a man in a cell in a basement waiting to get a barbed wire baseball bat in his hand to kill people. All right? I'm well aware of that. But I will fucking watch The Walking Dead with so much content and so much happiness. I know it's fake. You know what? You don't need to tell me that zombies aren't real. Just like I know that Mike Kanellis is Maria's baby daddy. But you know what? I kind of liked seeing him and Rusev wrestle. It was kind of fucking entertaining. I like to be entertained when I watch my shit.
Not to mention with the whole Maria and Mike Kanellis thing, they've got that thing panned out. Like Rusev, they're like, Rusev's not the dad. Who is the daddy? And it's going to be this thing of like, it's just going to lead to Mike Kanellis being on TV, having matches with people that are either returning or higher up on the card.
Ricochet. He had a match with Ricochet where he tried to kick Ricochet's ass. And it was like, no, Rusev is the baby daddy. And weren't we like a month or so ago being like, where the fuck is Rusev? Where is Rusev? And then all of a sudden, here's Rusev. And what does that invite? Lana, who everyone loves. Lana can now come back to TV.
Yep.
And be like, Rusev not make love with you, Rusev make love with me. Well, then who's the baby daddy? And then you could have the Godfather coming down being like, wow, wow, and then be like,
there are so many things you could do.
Exactly. And you know, here's the funny part. Not everything has to be goddamn real. You know, not everything. The Undertaker recently was at a UT game, and they gave him the Undertaker entrance, and he came out in an Under Armour Longhorns.
Yep. He was. It was ESPN College Game Day.
Yeah, and he was the Undertaker. It was the Undertaker, but he was out there talking about college football, which he's passionate about. You're just kind of sitting there and you're like, my Undertaker tombstones pile drives people, and his brother is an undead monster who's currently the mayor
in Knoxville, Tennessee.
I'm like, but I'm supposed to not believe any of that. It's like, fuck, come on, let's be entertained. This is what we watch it for. The E in WWE is entertainment. Yes, there's wrestling in there, but for God's sakes, whoever is coming up with that shit, it's like, I'm engrossed with who the baby daddy is, because I want to finally have Maury show up.
Yep.
And of course, with it being Maury, the insanity of Maury Povich being like, you are the father, and him being like, yeah, and then, no, not you, and then have Ric Flair come out.
Oh, dude. Especially with the fact that both Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair are going to be on Monday Night Nitro next week for the season premiere.
You mean Monday Night Raw, right?
Or, yeah, Monday Night Raw.
It seems like it right now. And I mean, that's the other thing, is that you have so many possibilities. And is kayfabe dead? No, because there's still dudes out there who live by it, and who go out of their way, guys and girls, not to separate.
Yeah.
But, you know, for God's sakes, sometimes just have a little fun with it. Like Lacey Evans being in full character is no different than if the Goldberg-Dolph Ziggler altercation in a steakhouse is real or not. Like,
yep.
People don't know if it was real or not. That was good if they're planning a rematch at like Survivor Series.
Oh, absolutely. Or even the Matt Riddle Goldberg thing, that the confrontation in the locker room.
I mean, the King of Bros is no longer in the developmental. King of Bros is on prime time.
Yep.
King of Bros is on tonight. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And this is the thing is, speaking of NXT, and of course NXT's on right now. I have it on mute as Keith Lee and Jizovak are destroying each other. But this is the thing is, when NXT was going to become live on USA, WWE was like, you know what? These guys are going to be on Prime TV. They don't have developmental contracts anymore. They're main roster contracts. So everybody got a pay bump because of that fact.
Yep, and because of that fact, no one can say, oh, well, that's just developmental talent you're watching on Wednesday. No, that's main roster. That's kind of like if you were to have looked up and said in 2006, ECW, it's developmental talent. Really? You're going to tell me that CM Punk was developmental talent, or Big Show was developmental talent?
Or John Morrison.
Or John fucking Morrison, or Kofi Kingston, or, Bobby Lashley? Nah, get the fuck out of here. They weren't developmental. They were fucking main roster pay.
They were main roster talent. They just were on the ECW show because the other two shows didn't have a spot for them.
Yeah, and then eventually, much is weird. You have a draft. Someone gets called over. Bickety bam, bickety boom. New stars are filtered through. I mean, that would have been like saying that Christian was a developmental talent when he was in ECW.
Yep.
Unfuck yourself.
And then of course with you brought up the Shane McMahon Kevin Owens thing earlier. Like, Kevin Owens tweeted out like random numbers that basically were the numbers of the alphabet that spelled NXT, that made everybody like, oh shit, is Kevin Owens going back to NXT? Honestly, not a bad idea, especially if they're with them being on USA, because now it's like, hey, the main roster guys are respecting what we're doing. They want to be here.
I mean, you had a few months back, Tyler Breeze made an epic return to NXT.
Yep.
And everyone freaked the fuck out because it was him versus Velveteen Dream, which for some reason, as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh my god, that's brilliant. People sleep on Tyler Breeze, but they forget that this is a guy who wrestled Jushin Thunder Liger in the only time that Jushin Thunder Liger appeared in a WWE ring.
That's absolutely true. And that's probably one of my favorite matches of NXT.
Exactly. You had Tyler Breeze wrestled the Demon King Finn Balor on an NXT for the #1 contendership, which led to Finn Balor winning the title at Beast in the East.
Yep.
Okay. Tyler Breeze and Fandango, for God's sakes, that whole gimmick with the Fashion Police was money. Money.
Not to mention the people that were like, they were getting involved with it, and people were like, yo, this is money. I want to be a part of this.
It was on the ENC, show for the second season because of how hilarious it was.
Yep.
And if you were to have that show up on NXT, my God, you have the Undisputed Era versus Breezango, dude. They would take them to a whole different level.
Oh, absolutely. Not saying Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish aren't talented, but it's like you have two guys in Breeze and Fandango that have been in the WWE a long time, that know the WWE system, that know their talents, and you would put that tag team on another pedestal because of that.
Exactly, and that's the other thing. If you had Kevin Owens, all right, I'm just gonna throw this at you. Ready? Survivor Series. Well, you're gonna have a 4-on-4 match anyway in Survivor Series. They're already leading that up. But let's say Royal Rumble. Ready? Kevin Owens versus Adam Cole for the NXT Championship.
Oh God.
You're welcome, Internet.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And then you look at Roderick Strong having the North American Championship right now.
Mm-hmm.
Say you have, not saying they would, but say like New Day splits a little bit. Splits for a time being. And Xavier Woods shows back up on NXT and goes after the North American Championship. You don't think Xavier Woods would raise Roderick Strong's game up?
Oh, here you go. Here's another dream match that could happen. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Velveteen Dream.
Oh,
Good night.
the showmanship.
Good night. Good night. And I mean, we now have the possibility of there being the on-screen confrontation of Velveteen Dream and the immortal Hulk Hogan.
Oh, God.
5 years ago. It's been 5 years.
Yeah.
Since Tough Enough.
Yep.
How mint would that be to have that face-to-face, like, and maybe even Hogan giving the blessing, brother. But, like, there you go. Enjoy, kids.
Yeah.
Like, I just booked you a shit ton of good stuff. The possibilities are endless now that this is no longer a developmental and that it's not going to be treated as such.
Yeah. The fact that that WWE is kind of like pulled back that curtain, so to speak, and be like, hey, these guys aren't developmental. They're main roster talent. They're just on the third brand, but they're stars. It's like they can interact with our other stars.
And they can provide tons of entertainment. And, you know, as we alluded to in the first part of the show when we talked about this jam-packed October, man, Walter can show up whenever Walter wants to show up. So imagine Walter versus Samoa Joe.
Oh God. or hell, Walter versus Cesaro.
Oh, who, if Cesaro goes to NXT, there you go. I mean, everyone's been talking about what to do with Cesaro. Send him to NXT.
Yep.
To be. I don't want to make a comparison and have people like, oh, what the fuck are you talking about? But be what Chris Benoit was going to be to ECW in 2007.
Be that name guy that's going to raise that brand up, that raised the NXT brand up, the NXT UK brand up.
Yep. And that's one of the big things is it's like, you know, you could do something with him on Raw and SmackDown. You could also do something with him on NXT, because we need to start looking at NXT as not third brand anymore.
Nope.
It's not the developmental, it's the third brand.
It's the third brand. The minute they went live on USA last week, NXT, the NXT universe, NXT and NXT UK and so on and so forth became the WWE's third brand.
They might be their own entity or try to be their own entity, but for the most part, dude, you got your third brand. Enjoy it. Live it up.
Oh,
Enjoy
absolutely. Especially come next week when they don't do the split hour or whatever, and USA has NXT Live for 2 hours.
Now the game is going to be up, which goes into that whole breaking kayfabe thing, because when Kenny Omega called them developmental and Donovan Dijak was like, yeah, you can tune in on Wednesday nights and see what developmental really is. You know, basically his nice way of saying, fuck off, pal.
Yeah, basically. And to be honest, Keith Lee and Dijak, they just had a hell of a match. I witnessed Donovan Dijak in, firsthand, working, the promotions in the Northeast. I mean, not only is he a hell of a worker for as big as he is, but dude is a really good guy. So to see someone on that caliber, same with Bobby Fish working the dependents up here, to see someone on that caliber who is that genuinely nice of a person and that good and that talented, getting now main roster spots, God bless them. Absolutely. But that's going to do it for us here at the TTRP. That's finished the show. A hell of a show. We're going to be back next week talking more wrestling, as it's going to be October. And, oh boy, the start of wrestling so many nights a week.
We just might have to buckle down and give these people 2 episodes and get to episode 100 a little quicker.
We might have to. especially with the fact that this goes out. We record on Wednesday nights, of course. It comes out Thursday or Friday, depending on Gear Network. But it's like we also have to figure out when to record next week, because next week's also like both AEW and NXT.
I know, like I'm okay with never sleeping again. I'm okay with just plugging myself into the wrestling matrix and being like, you know what, I'm good. I think I'm good.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. But for Sergeant Fury, I'm Pat G. Thank you for listening to TTRP. We will catch you on the flip side. The Turnbuckle Talk Radio podcast is brought to you by Gear Network and ShopGear.com. We can be listened to via Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and everywhere else you can get your podcasts. The TTRP introduction was done by Trevor Dugan. The show is hosted by Patrick Gancheski and Daniel Roberts. Post-production of the TTRP is done by Patrick Gancheski and John Cimino. If you'd like to follow us via social media, you can search Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast on Facebook. You can follow us at Twitter by using the name Turnbuckle_Talk. Or if you have questions or concerns, you can reach us via email at turnbuckletlkradio@gmail.com. We'd like to thank you for listening to the Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast, downloading our episodes, following us on social media, and interacting with us.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.
What's up, Rock Soldiers? This is Robbie Vegas coming at you from the All Bets Are Off podcast. If you are into horror movies, the paranormal, professional wrestling, or music, this is the place for you. We're bringing you the latest and greatest interviews in all of the above: music, horror, and of course, professional wrestling. So tune in on the Gear Network. Check out All Bets Are Off. Rate us, like us, subscribe to us, leave us your comments, tell us what you think, and we'll catch you soon on the All Bets Are Off podcast, dropping every Sunday at noon.